St. Post-Dispatch columnist joins us every Tuesday and Thursday here, and STLtoday.com is his column. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. So I'm interested to find out your thoughts as the House committee releases the next report. This one saying that Eric Greitens lied to the Ethics Committee, took the donor list, and used it for his own benefit. What are your thoughts as you read that?
Well, what's interesting is that every time the House overturns one stone, they find something else. And that's what I came away from this report with, is that the stones are still being overturned. At the end of this report is the indication that Danny Laub, the former campaign manager for Eric Greitens, testified that Austin Chambers, who became the leader of Eric Greitens' campaign, misled Mr. Laub when he became the fall guy, so to speak, in signing the Ethics Commission finding, agreeing that basically the campaign had violated the law. But what Laub says is that statement, that Ethics Commission finding, is all inaccurate because Chambers misled him, because Laub never gave that list to the governor. The governor directed that list to be taken from Mission Continues. And so now you have Austin Chambers' name being brought into it. And, of course, Austin Chambers is the protege of Nick Ayers, who's the chief of staff for Vice President Mike Pence. These stones are going to continue to be overturned. And if you wonder why a lot of big-name Republicans, pretty much everybody except for Senator Roy Blunt, is calling on Greitens to resign, it's because of this. They don't want to know where this leads. Where are the next subpoenas that lead to Austin Chambers and the governor's former attorneys and other people to testify either before the House or before Cole County Circuit Attorney Mark Richardson, or before St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, or before the feds if they end up getting involved? That's what I came across with this one. Is it's just story after story after story, and none of it is good for the governor.
Tony Messenger, Catherine Hanaway, who apparently is the attorney for the Greitens campaign, said at worst, she's quoted as saying something along the lines of, at worst, this is a minor campaign violation. Why is this such a big deal if it's a minor campaign violation?
You know, it's interesting that she chose those words. Catherine Hanaway was in the U.S. Attorney's Office when former state Senator Jeff Smith went to jail for a year for a federal investigation into what truly was a minor campaign violation. He ended up lying to the feds, and that's why he went to jail. But this is not a minor campaign violation. This is a violation of law relating to taking the nonprofit list. This is also a campaign violation, which is minor in the sense that it's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor. It's still likely a crime based on the evidence that the House has found so far. There's nothing minor about any of this. The interesting thing about Hanaway's involvement all of a sudden, Hanaway ran against Governor Greitens, had a lot of very negative things to say about Governor Greitens. Now she's defending his campaign. And last night, Chip Robertson, the former U.S. Missouri Supreme Court judge, issued a statement in response to Catherine Hanaway. Hanaway said, the House committee didn't even interview anybody. And Robertson said, thank you for the invitation. We've been trying to get you folks to talk to us. The subpoenas are coming. I guarantee you the Greitens camp is not going to want to respond to subpoenas and answer to that House investigative committee. They don't want anything to do with that House investigative committee.
Daniel Laub, who was at one point Eric Greitens' campaign manager, I guess, was the one they said got the list. It's almost farcical. The man didn't work for the Mission Continues. He would have no access to that list. He couldn't get that list. So for the campaign to say he had the list doesn't make any sense.
The paper trail, that's what's interesting about this case. I was talking to somebody last night about, sort of laying odds on which are the cases that the governor's more likely to be found guilty of. And I think the Mission Continues case is that case because the paper trail is so strong. There's a letter in the House investigative report dated August 2016 in which the president and CEO of Mission Continues, after the governor stepped away from the organization that he founded, sends a fairly harshly worded letter to Austin Chambers of the Greitens campaign and says, you guys have got to stop using all our stuff. You're putting our 501c3 status in jeopardy. And he was talking about images, about videos, about material that belonged to Mission Continues. And Chambers eventually responded in an email and said, oh, yeah, we care a lot about your image, and we're going to do our best to follow through with your request. But never brought up the fact that, oh, by the way, we stole your donor list, too, and we've been using that, and that's why we're winning. This is not a minor deal, because you've got a multi-million-dollar nonprofit right now that's fighting for its life that is afraid the IRS is going to come in and look at what they did and take away their nonprofit status. You've got major donors to that organization that are going to be wondering, can we trust this organization with our information and with our money? You've got Eric Greitens basically throwing everybody that he's ever had any connection with under the bus to try to protect his already destroyed political career.
Tony, let me ask you this question, because one of the things that doesn't make any sense to me in this report is apparently while Tom Schweik was still alive, somebody sent Tom Schweik's campaign email list to Eric Greitens. That seemed an odd part of that report.
It was very odd, and it's just one more nail in the coffin of somebody who ironically has an ethics degree from Duke University who clearly has no actual respect for ethics. The Schweik campaign list is an odd element of the report because it's not, nobody's accusing the campaign consultant who sent it to the Greitens campaign of stealing it. Nobody's accusing them of violating the law, and there's mixed testimony as to whether or not they actually used it. It was involved in a couple of emails. It was attached to one of the emails that a Greitens employee sent that it also included the Mission Continues list. So it was clear that they were doing everything they could to build a major donor list, and this small-time consultant who was trying to get hired by the Greitens folks said, look at what I can do. Here's Tom Schweik's donor list. It's one more bit of just bad narrative for the governor.
Stay tuned. Tony Messenger, we'll read about you and about it at stltoday.com. Have a good day. Thanks.
Good to talk to you.